What's something Americans have that Europeans don't?
The largest prison population per capita of any first world nation.
Wilderness. The vast majority of woodland in Europe is managed woodland, or not original and grown intentionally. America, however, has vast swaths of land that have never been touched by human hands.
One thing that always stands out to me is how obsessed Americans are with credit scores. It affects everything here: renting, phone plans, even jobs sometimes. In a lot of Europe, it's way more chill and not this giant number hanging over your life. Also, free refills and ice in every drink feels super American once you've been away for a bit. You don't realize how normal that feels until it's gone. Flipping this slightly, is it true that not many Americans have electric kettles? I'm only going on what I've seen online, but I get the impression it's not that common there. Lots of people have them, but most people don't. Tea is not as popular with Americans as coffee is, so coffee makers are more popular than electric kettles. Most homes have a kettle of some sort, but typically the type that sits on an electric or gas stove. Electric kettles are not viewed as a worthwhile use of precious counter space because hot tea drinking for most Americans is an infrequent occurrence. And if the occasion comes up to need to heat up water quickly, many will just use their microwave.
Unless you're making coffee in a French press or pour-over, most Americans don't use an electric kettle.
Garbage disposals, apparently. An English guy once asked, "Is it true you have a little blender in your sink to chop up the food bits and send them to the sewer because you're too lazy to walk over to the trash bin?" I have seen those on TikTok, and I'm actually a bit jealous. Seems very handy. They had them here in the UK for a bit. My mom and dad had one when they bought their house 25 years ago, and it still works. None of my homes have ever had one.
Is it true you use this thing called the internet because you're too lazy to look information up in a book? Lol. European government plumbing infrastructure is relatively old and built for denser, multi-unit housing. Narrow pipes make their systems unable to handle different kinds of waste.
I've learned from this post that too many people think Europe is just Northwestern Europe and nothing else. To be fair, I've seen posts from Western Europeans who think that too. Years ago, an Italian from northern Italy asked why Americans put garlic on their food because garlic is considered too strong by the rest of the world. They got pissy when given examples of international dishes, including southern Italian ones, that use garlic. Screens on our windows so we can open them without letting the bugs in. At least in Germany, we do have them. Not every house might have them pre-installed, but you can definitely just get them and do it yourself. This one is wild to me. Every window in my house has a screen. Our back door even has a screen. It's great for summer evenings when you can open up all the windows and get that nice evening breeze without any bugs. Where are these places? I really don't get it. I'm from Romania, and I've always had window screens and AC. So weird. Everyone I know has AC. Guess it shows just how different things can be from one country to another. Edit. I'm talking about developed cities, of course. Rural areas, I can't say. Cowboys, LOL. What makes me say that is because when my husband went to Germany, he was at a bar, and one of the locals asked him where he was from, and he told them he was from Oklahoma, and they said, "Oh wow, are you a cowboy?" After conversation ensued, my husband came to realize that Germans seem to really like cowboys, especially women, LOL. ETA. Listen, I'm not a history buff, and believe it or not, I don't know all. I was trying to think of something to comment, and the first thing to come to mind was cowboy. But I keep getting comments attacking my answer, like, dang, sorry I don't know the entirety of history behind cowboys. JFC, good lord, get a life. If you want to come here and jump down my throat about it, you can get lost. Germans have Old West fairs like we have Renaissance fairs. Going to a German Old West fair as an American is hysterical. I didn't pay for a single drink for the 3 months I was in New Zealand. I'm from Texas and always answered truthfully with a heavily exaggerated accent when asked if I rode a horse to school. No, but we did have tractor day. I was in Germany in the 80s, and country music and cowboy cosplay was huge. You haven't lived until you see Hans walking down to the honky-tonk in a big hat and belt buckle to Boot Scoot Boogie. A robust general aviation culture and system. Okay, I know it's a bit niche, but there it is. I live in the middle of nowhere, East Texas, and there are about 3 places within an hour where I can take flying lessons or just rent a small airplane if I want to go fly and have a pilot's license. And we have hundreds, maybe even thousands of public and private airports. There are airplane neighborhoods?
An orange, thin-skinned pedo president with 34 felony convictions.
Giant redwoods. The Redwoods National Forest in Northern California is one of the most mystical, beautiful, majestic, ancient places I've ever visited. It felt sacred, like there really were forest elves and tree ents protecting that place. Breathtaking. I simply wanted to walk until I got lost, then just stay lost forever. It transported me to a time of innocence, wonder, open to curiosity about the world. Around every bend in the trail, we'd buzz with anticipation, because any grand adventure could be waiting, even a fairy tea party.
Football. Not that one, but the weird-shaped ball one.
Great lakes that are essentially freshwater oceans. LMAO.
Ice in the complimentary water at a restaurant. Edit. Love that this throwaway comment took off. Also love the intense and conflicting responses. Yeah, it's like they haven't even invented ice. What? This has never once happened in the history of Europe.
I don't really understand this one, because I'm in England and almost every restaurant I've been to has ice in the water, even without asking. Is it a thing in other countries and just not here? Yellow school buses. I've had a lot of European friends ask me if they're real or just something from the movies. Apparently, a lot of them think they're only in movies or shows. I've had friends from Asia ask the same thing as well.
I got to ride in one last year. In one of those observations that are obvious in hindsight, but an unexpected surprise at the time. The seats and legroom are all child size. I was a bit too tall to fit.
I traveled to Central America a few times for business back in 2006 and 2007. Apparently, they ship our old yellow school buses where they are used once again, but not for school. They were not repainted, they were all still yellow and had U.S. city names on the side. It was hilarious tolling around Guatemala City and seeing school buses that say Detroit, Indianapolis, St. Louis, and so on.
Yes! I was scrolling to see if anyone had made this comment. We had an exchange student from Spain live with us 2 summers ago, and the most excited I saw her get was when we drove her around my kids' schools and she saw the yellow buses parked in the back. She took pictures of them. She said she'd seen them in movies and TV shows her whole life, but had never actually seen one in person.
Space and possibility. The U.S. is not a place that's particularly densely populated. There's lots of space and lots of technical opportunity. Compared to Europe, there is still plenty of room and opportunity to be in the US. I can admire this about their culture. An optimistic, and from a European perspective, naive or stupid, attitude to get things done. Europe is far less experimental and willing to take risks, for better and worse.
A huge variety of biodiversity without crossing borders. You could be within driving distance of many just in California alone.
To be fair, California is unique even among the US. It's one of the most biodiverse regions in the whole world. The US is just so massive. When you say driving distance, I don't know, driving from LA to Las Vegas is a 4-hour drive pretty much just through desert. And it can continue being pretty much desert for another 20 hours of driving if you just go east. Europe has Spain, which is very biodiverse too.
The right to hang a pair of bare arms in our homes. It's written very clearly in our Constitution.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps. Subscribe for more and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one.